You're listening to the FitMIND FitBODY podcast, where we explore the connection between running and positive mental health. We do this by talking to runners from all walks of life who generously share their experiences with us. So you don't miss an episode, I've created an email list for you to join. Check the show notes for more details. Without further ado, I'm your host, Michelle Frost. Let's get moving. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Kevin Matthews. Kevin's journey from Cornwall in the UK to becoming an ultra-marathon runner in Australia is nothing short of inspiring. But be warned, it's a long one. Maybe take us with you on your next long training run. In this episode, Kevin shares his experiences, the challenges he's overcome, and his love for running. He offers fantastic tips for runners of all levels, from beginners to seasoned pros. Whether you're looking to start your running journey or take it to the next level, you won't want to miss Kevin's insights. So get ready to be motivated and learn how running can transform your life. But be warned, Kevin may have you running further than you thought you wanted to. Enjoy. Today on FitMIND FitBODY, I am really excited to introduce Kevin Matthews to you. Now, before I let him speak, because once I do, I feel I may not get too many words in. He has been recommended to get on my podcast, and I looked back since January last year, so that's coming up. People listen to this for probably about a year and a half at least, and I finally got him on. I'm so excited to talk to you. Kevin, welcome.
No, thank you for having me on the show. Always happy to talk about running. Always.
Me too. Me too. This is going to be so much fun. I'm really excited. Right. Let's start with, obviously you have an accent. People may or may not have caught up to that. Where did you grow up? I don't think you grew up in Australia.
No. I was brought up in the UK, so I grew up in Penzance in Cornwall. I'm a pilot of Penzance.
Yes.
Cornwall's sort of like the Margaret River area of the UK. It's a beautiful place to live. I grew up there, did a lot of surfing, had a great time running up as a young boy. And then it ended up in Aberdeen, oil and gas, where I met my wife. And then we immigrated to Perth in 2000, I think 2000. So we've been here about 23, 24 years.
Yep.
Got to Australia and then got into triathlons.
Yeah.
Being a plumber, I thought nothing I liked more than running around in my budgie smugglers, in my speedos. And those are the good old days of triathlons when you can actually you do your swimming in your speedos. You jump on your bike in your speedos, and you go for a cycle in your speedos. I did that. Good old days. I loved running amok in my speedos, and I found out that I was a back of the pack swimmer. Actually, I was the typical Poms can't swim. We're rubbish at swimming. And a middle of the pack cyclist. I could sort of cycle, and a pretty good runner. I'd always catch people up at the end. So I decided to concentrate on the running. And then did a few marathons, which went well. And then went to South Africa for the comrades in 2008.
What?
So I loved it.
Did you go up or down?
I did it 3 times. I went in 2008, which was a up, 2009, which was a down. We got a couple of blue ribbons. And I went back in 2010, which is another down, because it's the World Cup. And they wanted the World Cup, they wanted to finish in Durban rather than finish in Pietermaritzburg. So I did another down in 2010 and got a silver 722, I think. And then I wanted to go back again the following year, but my wife said no, so I never got my up silver, and I still haven't got my up silver. But she did pretty well. She let me go 3 times by myself, which is pretty cool.
It is.
So after that, it was all about marathons. So 2010 till really about 2019, 9 years of running lots of marathons. I've done about 46 now. I got down to 241. Pretty quick in the old days. Before carbon plates, Michelle. So there's no asterisks. These are proper running.
I'd never heard so much about them, and spoke to someone the other day about them and how they do actually increase your
Oh my God,
Okay.
they're incredible. Remember, a side story, the first time I got a pair of carbon plates, they were, there's the Alpha Flies, the original ones, they were hard to come by. And Nike did such a good advertisement or marketing. Everybody knew they were incredible, but you just couldn't get them. You could not get them for love nor money. And I managed to snap at a pair from a shop in Brisbane, of all places. And they actually arrived the day before the marathon. And so I hadn't even tried them on, but I heard so many good things about them. I can still remember to this day. It's like for running, you always remember the first time you put on carbon plate shoes. If you've never done it, to your listeners, if you've never done carbon
Oh, I
plate
can't
shoes,
wait
and
for
you're
that.
yeah, it's an incredible feeling. So I put them on in the changing rooms, and we walked out onto the road. It was the city of Perth Marathon. So we're on the road, and I thought I'll just do a little warm up. And I'm running along. Oh my God, Michelle, I just could not believe what I had on my feet. It just, only a runner knows the feeling. When you the first time you put on these carbon plate shoes, it's just an incredible feeling. And I nearly exploded. I was so stoked. And I ran the race, and I was telling my mates, oh my God, what's just happened? And they didn't know. They thought, like, come on, Kev, it's a pair of shoes. Well, anyway, I digress. But anyway, so I got down to 241, and then 2018 and 19, a couple of bad injuries, typical injuries, calf tear, hamstring tear, and then of course plantar fasciitis. Plantar fasciitis is an awful injury because
I've heard.
it just hangs around. Just hangs around, Michelle, as you probably know, and it hangs around for months and months and months, and it tests your resolute as a runner, because it's just nasty, and there's no real fix really apart from time. Anyway, I got over that, and then I really think about that time I was early 50s, so I probably lost my pace, I lost my speed, lost my pace, a combination of age and injury. So I thought, well, I want to still be competitive. So how can I still, because I enjoy the racing, Michelle. I love my running, and I do a lot of training, but I love the racing, putting the bit on my chest. And it's not about winning, but I just love the competitive spirit together, as ultra runners. And I found with ultra running, it was a different type of racing, whereas a marathon runner is all about you, how quick you can go, how quick you can get to the finish. Whereas an ultra is everyone's in it together, we're all trying to help each other. And the bigger the ultra, the more combination of let's all try and get to the finish together, and you help each other. So I found ultra running, and that was it. Boom. Did the what 200 miles now, loads of 100 milers, and then I found backyard ultra running. Oh my
That's
God,
madness,
backyard
isn't
ultra
it?
running. That is just the best. Have you done one, Michelle? Done a
No,
BYU yet?
no. And again, my podcast and a bunch of you West Australianers who actually told me what it was. Like, I never heard of it until someone said it in the
Oh
podcast a
my
couple of years ago.
God. Yeah,
I've,
well, obviously you
I've,
spoke to Paddo,
I've
Paddo.
had Phil Gore as well, podcast before
Oh
he
my
broke the
God,
record.
I feel
So,
Gore. Yeah, I used to beat Phil Gore. But
no,
then I used to beat Phil Gore when he was young. I used to kick his ass in the marathon. I've got many happy memories of kicking Phil Gore's ass. Of
not
course, now
anymore.
it's never going to happen again. The
Amazing.
guy's an absolute god in the backyard ultra world, and rightly so. Such a lovely guy. You should interview Gemma, his wife.
Someone said that.
His
I think
wife,
that's a good
Gemma,
point.
is an incredible young lady, and obviously behind every man is a strong woman, as you know, and that
I
is so
do.
true. You should interview my wife. Anyway, but Gemma and Phil have gone a massive journey in the backyard ultra. He had the world record for 102, I think, last year. He did that in Australia, and he beat Harvey, who's now got a record of 108 hours. You imagine that, 108 hours
I can't.
continual
I
movement.
can't imagine it. I just can't. Yeah. At some point in this conversation, I want to talk about that point where it becomes sleep. When sleep, because I've done 21 hours now, and that was fine because you can stay up all night once. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how I then get in a little bit of sleep. Anyway, we can talk about that in a minute. What I wanted to ask you very briefly before we go back and have a little bit more into you regarding your life before running or around your life that's not just running, because I assume you do other things apart from just run.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Well, I do work. I do work from home a lot.
There you go.
In
That's
between,
handy. Bit like
no,
me.
I
Well,
think
there
it's
was
mainly
something
money.
that you said about getting into ultras, and the difference between, say, marathon, because now probably feels more like a sprint to you, as you said when we were talking off recording earlier. But that idea of road running ultras versus trail ultras, is there a point where it is that same kind of ultra experience where we are all in it together a bit more, like rather than, yes, it's competitive, but it's not the same kind of, one for, just in for yourself, but that competitive, like that doing it together thing that you get in a trail ultra, especially. Is there a point on a road ultra, I guess I'm asking, where that also becomes a bit of a thing that we're all doing it together, and it's the ultra that makes it that, not the surface
I
they're running
suppose
on?
it would like they like Coast to Cosy. Coast to
Mm.
Cosy is probably a
Mm.
good example of that. That's
Mm.
mainly a road ultra, but it's long enough that everyone is helping each other.
Yeah.
Whereas comrades is sort of semi there. I treated comrades as a race. That's 89K on the road.
Mm.
I treated that as a race, and I've done a couple of 50Ks. I would on the road as a race, as far as I'm concerned. I think the more difficult any event is, the more camaraderie there is with the
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the marathon's easy, but as you get into the ultras, especially the multi-day ultras, and or stage races, where you stop for the evening, everyone's in it together, and that's why I love ultra running. I enjoyed my early days of the competitive running, doing my 5Ks and my 10Ks and my halves and marathons and trying to get as fast as I could. But that was just me personally trying to get as fast as possible to see how fast I could go. Whereas an ultra runner, it's the distance, and it's about really helping everyone get to the end. Time, time isn't something I even think about. If I get a great time, that's good. But it's more about the experience. It's more about being out there with nature.
Having an
Um,
adventure.
yeah, and with all your friends as well.
Mm.
And the ultra running scene in WA, because of Sean Kessler, with Ultra Series WA,
Yeah.
Sean is the Pied Piper of
Yeah.
ultras, and he's created this whole environment, this whole tribe, as he calls us, his tribe of people who all know each other because of the races we do together.
Yeah. Which is
The
amazing.
200 mile, we talk about Delirious in WA once a year, but at the start of that 200 mile, I can look around and I'm just surrounded by all my friends. I know them all. You may get one or two blow-ins, but by the end of the race, they're my friends as well, which is cool. Apart from Tibu, who ran past me when I was asleep. But anyway, we'll get to that later. But no, on the road, coast to Cosy, we'd all be helping each other. But a comrades or a 50K ultra, or even that race you did, when the 100K trails up, if it was 100K on the road, it would still be more of a race. But as soon as you get trails involved, I think as soon as you get trails involved, it's a different type of person anyway.
Yeah.
Because there are some competitive trail runners, but we tend to ignore them. But mainly the trail runners is sort of about getting out there, being with nature, it's just not really a competitive scene as such. It's just more about being with like-minded people, doing what you love in a wonderful place. The trails are cool.
The Gone Nuts that I did here, that's the 100 and it's advertised as 101, but it's actually 103. Everybody knows. That does involve
Yes.
a lot of going up and down. There's a lot of hills to climb. There's a boat to catch. There's lots of adventure, I guess, is what I'm saying. So there's lots of change terrain and all that kind of stuff. So it really was amazing. Can I go back to your childhood? Like you said, you were surfing and that kind of stuff. What sort of, like, apart from that, at school, was there any running involved, like with your carnivals? And did you do all of that in the UK?
No, I was funny. I was listening to your podcast with Pado, and I'm the same as him. At school, no interest in running, no interest whatsoever. No. I was always the 400 meters. Oh, trying to run that 400-meter track when you're at school. I was young at the time, of course, but it's incredible. I can do it. So at school, no, nothing. It was only really going to work in Scotland. I used to go to the gym a lot, and then I used to find out there used to be a 10K in Aberdeen where I worked for 8 years. Dark days, dark days. So there's a 10K once a year, and I'd always try and break 40 minutes. So what we'd do about maybe a month before, I'd start jogging, twice a week, 3 times a week. And these are the days I was before GPS. This is last century, we're talking about the 90s. So, you had a stopwatch, and I remember the good old days of stopwatch and kilometre markers on the ground. And you'd have to find the kilometre marker, look at your stopwatch, and do a bit of mental arithmetic to work out where you were. Yeah. So I always went to break 40 minutes for the 10K. I did it a couple of times. So I would have been late 20s, early 30s, and that's a sort of liberalising. Once a year, try and break 10K. That was done.
Do you know why? Like, can you remember why? Was it because you were in dark Scotland? What was it that made you want to get?
No idea. There was no reason for that. It's just a round number. It's a round number. 40. Try and book 40 minutes for 10K, and that was it. And I think I did my first half in Aberdeen, and it was basically I have no idea what time it was, but we ended up running down the Aberdeen streets. There were no road closures. You were running on the pavements, We had no idea where you were running. This is a long time ago. So I did a half in Aberdeen. And then, so no, I was not a runner at school. I wasn't really a runner in my early life at all. It was just normal, maybe go to the gym a few times a week, keep yourself fit.
Why? Why did you want to keep yourself fit? I guess that's what was because, there's a lot of people who they don't enter a gym. They don't ever run a step after they leave high school because they don't have to, unless they're catching a bus or something.
Fair enough. I used to quite enjoy the gym, actually. I had a free gym, so I used to go to the gym, and not proper bodybuilder, but just like keeping fit. I used to enjoy circuits. I did stay in Scotland. I did a lot of mountain biking.
Okay.
So in the weekends, we get on my Cannondale, we get up to the hills. So so I was pretty fit, ish. I always keep myself fit. And then, coming to Australia, I got into triathlons, just love running around with my budgies, and and then coordinated at 9 and 10, and then lots of marathons, and then ultras, and where I am now.
What work did you do in Scotland?
Oh, I work in oil and gas, which was a good job, but unfortunately now no one likes me because it's my fault. The climate's changing. In the good old days, in the 70s and 80s and 90s, my dad was oil and gas as well.
Yeah.
So now I have to say, I go to dinner parties and people don't talk much. I don't go to dinner parties, but if I did, people wouldn't talk to me. So I have to pretend to do something else. So I do apologise to the listeners. It wasn't my fault. I'm coming to the end of my career, so I'll be gone soon.
What do you do in oil and gas? What did you do? How's your career gone in that? I've got a daughter who's been in and out of mining and other things, including gas.
It's been great. It's been great, Michelle. I'm a planner, so I'm working with Woodside. Obviously, you'll know Woodside in Australia. It's coming to Columbus. They do a lot of work with them. And I'm a planner, so like baby project manager. It's been really good. And ever since COVID was fantastic because after COVID, I can work from home.
I was going to say that.
So post-COVID, now I'm chatting to you sitting here in my study. I've got my laptop, I've got the screens, and I was looking at you thinking I got a meeting at 1 o'clock with Michelle. I want to go for 2 runs today, so I'm going to have to miss my morning run, which means I've got to do a 20K run. So after Michelle's conversation, I'll sneak out for a couple of hours, do a couple of hours, get back in and finish my work tonight. So I'm now I call it semi-retirement. I hope no one from Schlumberger listens to this. Anyway, I call it semi-retirement because I go to the office 1 day a week tomorrow for face-to-face with a client. But apart from that, my time's my own. So I can run when I want as long as the work gets done. Like even today. So today, I wanted to try and get 2 runs in. It's not going to happen. So I shall run later on this afternoon and do a longer run and get the work done later on into the night, which is cool. So I've got a really good job for running.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Like that you do that for me. That was great that you split up your double day to a long run. That's really cool.
No, so, yeah, so I will suffer later on, so I've got to run for like 2 hours rather than two 1 hour runs.
Well, you can take the podcast in your ears or something. I don't know.
Well,
We can entertain
no,
you.
all joking aside,
Yeah.
I say now I've found your podcast. It's pretty good, and I've got a lot of catching up to do.
You
Over
do.
350 episodes.
That's right. You do. We are well over
So
300
that's
episodes.
perfect. So I will start listening to it because I'm always looking for good podcasts. I always end up listening to Taylor Swift, and after a while, even I can
Right.
get sick of Taylor Swift.
Um, did you, just before we skip off your personal life and get back into running, did you come to Australia because of a job here, like in mining? Is that what happened?
No, I come to Australia because obviously, as I said, I'm English and my wife's Scottish. And after 8 years in Scotland, I just
Oh,
couldn't stand it anymore. You just don't see that thing behind me up there.
the
That's
sun.
that yellow thing. You don't see that in Scotland. It's just dark and dreary, especially Aberdeen. You're on the
But
coast. It's very,
their accents are amazing.
it's an awful place to live anyway.
I
So
love the
after
Scottish.
8 years, I said, "Look, let's go live in England." She said, "There's no way I'm living in England." I said, "Well, there's no way I'm living in Scotland." So I said, "Right." I looked at Aberdeen and I thought, where's the furthest place away from Aberdeen on this planet? I went all the way down. What's this place? Perth. Perth. That sounds interesting. And there's oil and gas in Perth. Right,
Oh,
we're off to Perth. And that was it.
that you could have ended up in Tasmania doing that, like where I live, because
Well,
that's about as
well,
far away.
funnily enough, I was looking at King Island.
I grew up on King Island. Snap.
That's why I was looking at King Island
You
because
were not.
I was listening to your podcast, with Paddy about King Island. Type in King Island.
It's got the Sheila.
Oh, that King Island, it looks awesome. I love King Island.
Yes, but it's not very big. So if you're running ultras, that's, how many times you'd have to go right around the island in order to get.
And it's got a national park in the top right, I noticed. I bet there's some good trails up there, top right hand
Oh,
side.
there is. I wasn't into
But
trail
also,
running then.
because I've always said, once I finish work in a couple of years, fingers crossed, I want to get back into my surfing. Because another reason we came to Perth is for the surf, because in Aberdeen it was so cold. I gave up surfing for 8 years. I'll come to Perth and I'll start surfing. Come to Perth and it is so crowded and the surf's so crowded. But the surf's good if you get a mug before you go up north and get eaten by sharks. And I was just like, you know what? Nah. So I'll take up running. And I've always said when I retire, I'm going to go back to surfing. So I've got 2 more big years of running. I'll get to that late 50s, maybe 60. And then I want to go and try and find a place where I can do surfing again. So the plan is 2 more years of running, and then I'll slow down a little bit and go surfing. And I thought King Island looks really good. It must have really good surf, but it does look a bit cold.
They do. Yes, you need a good wetsuit. I believe that there's a break somewhere off the island as well that they take people out to surf, like on a boat.
It's ticking it on.
That kind of cool surfing.
Any sharks down there?
Yeah, we got sharks, but we don't even hear about them being eaten. Not the sharks, they get eaten, but you don't hear about the surfers getting eaten by sharks. Maybe because we don't have as many. Both of my 20-year-old boys have taken up surfing in the last year, and they're always heading off to different. Yeah, Shipsterns Bluff is a really good, internationally well-known surfing spot here, which is really.
No, I may end up in King Island, so but I'll get back in touch. So I always, I love surfing so much, and but leaving Cornwall and leaving all my friends,
Yeah.
I've never really got back into it, and it's just so crowded. Whereas King Island is not crowded.
No, Tassie's not crowded either. So you could come to the mainland of Tasmania, and you still find it's not that crowded.
It's what I mean. So that's right. We may end up being neighbours one day.
Yep. And you need a wetsuit though, probably a bit like surfing in Cornwall, I would have thought.
These wetsuits you can get ones now where they're all heated.
That's right. There you go. Good, it's sorted. Yeah.
That's what I mean. So it's
awesome.
not a problem. Just don't get eaten by a shark.
And we do have a lot of sand, whereas I think Cornwall coastline's quite pebbly. Would that be right?
Well, yeah, Cornwall's great surfing. Cornwall, lots of little coves, which again look like King Island.
At the beaches, sand.
Yeah, okay. You're thinking of Brighton's got a lot of pebbles.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I always found that funny to go sit on the beach in England and that was just sitting on little pebbles.
Yeah, that sounds like Brighton and Bournemouth a lot. It's Cornwall's right there at the bottom, and it's got beautiful beaches, incredible.
Oh, it's gorgeous. All right, back to running. Tell me, what
Yes.
does your typical running week look like? We've established you're a legend. You're amazing. Like it just sounds like it's been your passion for a long time, for most of your adult life, whether it was triathlons and through to into purely running. What would your running
Yeah.
look like now, just on a weekly basis, just to give us a rough idea?
Right. So what did we last week was 140k, so 140k 11 runs. I would have run 11 times last week. Started the week on a Monday, which is a long run in the hills, 30k. And then basically double days, lots of 10Ks, 10K twice a day, 10K one, 10K afternoon.
Yeah.
Maybe I must have missed one 10K because I only got 140. But that was it. It was 4 weeks. So I always try and do one long run sometime during the week. I try and get out to the hills, which is about an hour's drive from the city. So I try and get 3 to 4 hours in the hills by myself, kept time. Always run by myself in the hills. It's just I just love being out there at my own pace. And then the rest of the time, from really, because I do a lot of work from home, and normally try and sneak out lunchtime-ish, and then early evening. So I get the heat of the day, and then I get the sunsets. I used to be a morning person when I was running marathons, and I get up at 5 o'clock every morning and do a 10K, and then cycle to work, do a 10K lunchtime, and cycle home. But as I've got older, I just can't get out of bed as much as I used to. I'm just like over it, There's so many early mornings over the years, now I just think, you know what? I'll just run lunchtime and evening. I don't care, I prefer to do that. But I know most runners are morning people.
Yeah.
But I don't mind the heat of the day. The hotter the better. I've got no problem with heat. So
A couple of things that made me think of. When we were traveling with our children in England, the moment the sun came out, everybody seemed to take their top off because I don't see it. So it was like, well, all the blokes.
That's why I like the heat. So so all those runs, most of them, normally it'd be a lunchtime 10K and then an afternoon 10K. And we've got a place called Ball Park, which is this. I think Ball Park is the biggest, either the first or second biggest park in a city in the world. Like we got Kings Park in Perth, which is bigger than Central Park in New York. We got Kings Park, but Ball Park is bigger than Kings Park. Ball Park's on the coast. So I've got this incredible park. I'm pretty sure it's the biggest, if not the biggest, the second biggest park in a major city.
Which part of Perth are you in?
Incredibly big. Pardon?
Which part of Perth are you in?
I'm in City Beach. I'm near the ocean. But Kings Park's obviously right in the middle of Perth, but Ball Park is in sort of.
When my daughter that I told you was working in the mines, she was 8, or she was almost 18. She wanted to work in the mines. A lady here in a job place made her cry and said, "You can't do that," because now she's about to turn 30 actually in this week. You can't do that. All the blokes want to, because it was when more, FIFO work was big, and anyway, they made her cry. Before she turned 18, within a week, she was in Western Australia, had got a job in mines, and she stayed there in Perth for a few years working in different mines. So we went over there when we were off on a trip and stayed there for a couple of months up near Hillary's. That's all. Like I can't remember all the suburb names. So I was just trying to, so I was just trying to get a good picture for where you are. So I know some of it.
Hillary's, we're north of the river, so Hillary's is like 15 minutes from where I am. It's very close, just the next 3 or 4 suburbs up.
Yeah.
Hillary's is cool. So anyway, always try and get the ballpark. I've got this little 1K loop. Everyone rants about it, why do you keep doing the same loop? It's just a 1K loop. And they call it the Ballpark Trail Mile. And it is just 1K loop. So I did it 6 times for 10K. It's just one of those trails where, I just love it, so I've done it hundreds of times, I'll do it, 6 times, but it's one of those trails. It's got a hill, and it just works. So I just go up there, put my headphones in, and run around 6 times, get the 10K, sometimes twice a day, and it's just So anyway, I try and aim for obviously 100 to 140 a week, depending on what's going on in my life. So lots of running, because like you said, Michelle, this is what I enjoy. So I don't see big numbers being an issue. And I don't go fast, so I don't get injured. If you go fast, you get injured, you tear calves, you tear your hammies. Because I'm sort of 5 minute K pace, slowish, you don't get injured as much. And you're running on trails. So because you run on trails, you're stepping all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not repetitive. Road runners who run fast, it's just a repetitive bang, 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 straight line, bang.
Yeah.
And that's when injuries occur. A trail runner, it's always step, because you got to concentrate on using your whole body. So you're not putting as much strain on your muscles, and also the ground gives a bit more. And I've got hoppers. I wear the hoppers. So touch wood, I've not been injured for a few years. And just loving being out there, I suppose.
I love that you say 5 minutes a K is slow. I remember when I thought that was slow. I don't think it's slow anymore now in my 50s.
No, it's not slow. I mean, it's relative to what I used to do 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was a show pony man, when as I call myself, the old show ponies shot around the streets. I used to always try, and every run I did, I'd be trying to do sub 4 minute Ks.
Yeah.
So that was always it. I'd go out for 10K lunchtime, it had to be 39 minutes something. My long runs, everything was sub 4 minute Ks. What's those days gone? Way gone, Now I try and make 5 minute K my average, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, of course. But the days of running 4 minute K, which is well and truly got up 57 now. But the good thing is, with the trail running, I don't care, because I'm still semi-competitive.
Yeah.
I can still once in a while snag a podium. But if I'm running, and also 5 minute Ks when I'm doing my longer runs, like delirious. Holy moly, 5 minute K is a threshold. You ain't running 5 minute Ks over 340 kilometers. You're doing 7, 8, 9, 10, 15 minute Ks sometimes up these big hills.
That's amazing.
So a 5 minute K is perfect. And it lets me enjoy it, but still pushing myself,
Yeah.
And on all the runs, you sort of speed up towards the end. You still push yourself.
What drives you? Because you're obviously spending a long time of your week. There's quite a big portion, as you said, you love it. But what do you think? What about it? What makes you get up every day and eventually during the day, because you're not doing it first thing in the morning necessarily?
Right, yeah.
Get out there.
I love a coffee in the morning, a cup of coffee in the muffin. But no, I'll tell you what drives me is the racing. I still I've always loved the racing. Always loved it.
Wow.
Some people, I've got lots of friends who train, they'll do 100K a week and whatever, and they'll race like 2 or 3 times a year. And that was me in the good old days. For marathon racing, I would do I did the Perth Marathon, I'll do the City to Surf Marathon in Perth, then I'll do the Rock Ness Marathon, the little island.
I do. I've been there.
Perth version of the King Out, where you've been to what they call the Quackers.
I have.
I've done that like 12. I love that marathon. I've done that 12 times. So I love Rodneys. So I do those 3 marathons a year, and then a few 10Ks and a few halves sprinkled in. Now, with ultras, I'll try and do at least an ultra a month, at least one a month, and maybe more. Like this year, we've done this year. This year we started off, I did 24 park runs in 24 hours. And that was, oh my God, that was so much fun. That is, again, a Sean Kessel idea. So, obviously there's 100 in Perth, we got lots of park runs. And then the idea was 8 o'clock, we do our first one, and we do 24 park runs in 24 hours. And then, so you do a park run in 25 minutes, you then go and charge the next one, and you start and do another one. And you got to do 20, and there's Excel spreadsheet. It's all set out for you to the minute. There's a lot of driving. Obviously, I wasn't driving. Some joke. I was with Phil Gore. Gemma drove.
Wow.
It was me, Gemma, Phil. Yeah, me, Gemma, and there was 2. Bradley drove, 2 drivers. They took it in turns, and then there was 5 of us in the car. And oh my God, it was a 42-degree day and humid. You
No.
can imagine what that car smelled like. 5 stinking runners
Oh, Gem is
sweating their balls
amazing to
off.
put up with you guys.
Oh my, I said, I need to get her on the podcast. She is an amazing woman. I think afterwards, Phil should have just burned his car. That's me. I just burned it. It was the smell.
It was
Like,
disgusting.
oh no. Anyway, so I did the 24 part runs in 24 hours in January. And then the next week I did 100K, the Australian Day Ultra. That was hard. Maybe I should have done 2 back to back. And then February was delirious, the 200 miler. Incredible. And then 4 weeks after that, in March, was Herdes, I did 24 hours at Herdes. And then in 2 weeks' time, we got the Lighthouse 24 in April, which I'm looking forward to that, 24 hours, around the 2.5K loop. So that's April. May, I think we got Transain, which I think is 65K. And then June, I'm off to Carafa for another backyard ultra. I'm sure I'm doing all listed birdies. So yeah, I definitely, for me, it's the racing. I just love the actual ultras.
And
So
you're
I
not
try and
actually,
do.
you're not training for something, like, because you're always trained up, like the way you look at how many kilometers you do and, running twice a day and so that you can run on tired legs and all that sort of stuff. You're always ready to go. So if someone said to you tomorrow, like Sean comes and knocks on your door and says, like, we're going to do one tomorrow, you're ready. You're ready to go.
100%. I think a couple of years ago, I worked out I've done 2,200 kilometers of racing. So over
Wow.
2,000 Ks of racing. Well, as a marathon runner, I would run 4 marathons. What's that? 160K. So over the year, I would race 160K. But maybe 200Ks in a big year. So a couple of years ago, I think I did 12 or 13 ultras. And of those, there's a couple of 200 miles in there. So a couple of 200 miles, you got 700Ks. And I did the 4 backyard ultras. And on a backyard ultra, I was probably averaging about 28 to 30 hours, which is a couple of 100K. So it actually worked out 2,200 kilometers of racing. And I think I ran about maybe 4,000 for the year. It was 40% of my Ks was racing and 60% was training, which is highly unusual. Normally it's 90% training and 10% running. So 10% racing. But I just turned it around. So you're right. And so what I do is I race, I then recover and then taper and then race and then recover and taper and race. And because it's 2,000 kilometers, that's actually also training. So it's a double whammy. I'm not training, I'm either racing, recovering, or tapering. I've taken out the training cakes that I don't enjoy.
That is madness.
That's what people say, but taper show it works.
It's working for you.
Yeah, I was speaking to Rob Doncaster about it, and I would rather do 10
I've had him on the
events.
podcast too.
Oh,
Told you, I've had everyone.
Yeah, legend. You and him must get on like a house on fire.
We do. Actually, I need to get back in touch.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that.
I love
I'd
it.
love to listen to you. You would be speaking for days.
He's amazing.
Incredible guy. I love that man so much.
Yeah.
So I was speaking to Bob about it, and I would rather do 10 races or 12 races a year. Mediocre. Rather than concentrate and try and win 3 races, because that's 9 months of the year not racing. And at my age, again, I'm at the age now, I'm 57. Well, time's running out. I ain't got time to hang about and do 3 or 4 ultras a year for the next 20 years. I could do that when you're 20. When you're 57, I've probably gone past halfway.
Maybe. So, I'm 55. I reckon I'm about halfway.
You're going to get to 110 and keep running.
Oh, easy. Yeah. Plan.
It's not the end age I'm worried about. It's the age where you can actually stop enjoying what you're doing.
That's right. Yeah.
So 57. I always try to do about 5,000 Ks a year average in that age. But if I can do 5,000 Ks, about 2,000 of those are racing, and that's great. I get 12 races a year. Times that by 5 or 6. That's 60 races before I turn 65, compared to maybe 10 or 15. And I'm just greedy. Because there's so many good things. Yeah, I don't want to miss any. I haven't got time to go, I'll do that one next year, I'll do the one, following year. So like, even before you, I was looking at my calendar thinking, oh, I've got a couple of months there. I need to find something. So I'm on the internet looking around Australia, trying to find races I can do to fill the gaps. Because it's just a case of I'm limited by time.
That's interesting. Like so many. Do you run every day? That was one question. Is it every day that you run?
I run every day. Every day, sure.
I run at least 2Ks every day. I don't run at least 20 or 30Ks every day.
No, it'd be at least 10. 10 towards my minimum. If I put my shoes on, I got to run at least 10.
You're going, yeah.
So at least 10 a day. And lots of 10. Like I said before last week, it was probably 129K. And then the other 8 or 9 or 10 runs would be 10 or 11K. It's rare that I do a 15 or 16. I'd rather do 2 10s than 120.
So most people tell me that they love the training, but when they get to the event, although once they start the event, it's all good, but actually get quite anxious leading up to the event, like just before they start. And once they start, it's okay. But maybe if you're doing so many of them, you don't really get time to be sort of nervous or anxious before the start of an event, and you just
no, at all. Again, people shouldn't be like that. We said that the bit you should enjoy most is the racing, because all your training is for the race. I always think of it like a cake. You're making a cake, and you work so hard making the cake, putting the cherry on top, the last bit of cherry on top of the cake. That's the bit you enjoy. You finish the cake, and you get to eat it. So if you're training for a marathon, you should never be nervous. I was never nervous at the start line. I was excited because I knew I put the hard work in. And this is when I was going to find out what time I'd run. So for marathons and those sort of races, I was the most exciting time for me was at the start. The drudgery, because sometimes it can be a drudge of getting up in the morning in the dark, putting the Ks in. I love my running, but sometimes it can be you got other stuff on your plate and you've got to put the running in. So all that hard work to get you to the start line, that's when it should be a big smile on your face. Never ever worry about stress or anger. You should never be anxious. If you've done the training, what you've got to be anxious about, you're gonna get what you just deserve.
It's the unknown.
Is the honest sport in the world. Yeah, running is honest. It is honest. If you haven't put the work in, you ain't gonna get the result. Like for soccer, you could be a goal hanger, striker. You could do nothing for the whole game, hang about the pattern, and you can score twice or get a hat trick, and you're a hero. But you've done nothing all game. You just stood there, and the ball's come off your head 3 times, and you got 3 goals. No one's ever said, oh, I ran a marathon a day. I've done no training. I got the PB. I got a 25-minute PB. I've done no training. I've just been drinking and smoking and partying. Doesn't happen. It's an honest sport. So if you're honest with yourself, if you put the hard work in, don't ever be anxious. You're going to get your result. There's no surprises in running. From that point of view, it's a very boring sport. You work hard, you get the result. Just don't get injured.
Please. Just before I talked to you, I was speaking to Susan Wright about injuries and running, and another West Australian, because she's a physio. What is it about running that you think really calls to you? Why is it that running's become your, path to enjoyment and joy? And
no, it's a good question, Michelle, because you're right. As a young man, I wasn't interested in it really. So I do my Aberdeen 10K once a year, and even coming to Australia originally, it was triathlons. And the only reason I took up running was because there's too many people surfing, too many sharks. And then I suppose initially, when it was the challenge of me going quicker. Because when you first start running, every race you do, you normally get a PB. And I've got my Excel spreadsheet, because everyone's got Excel. Most runners have got Excel spreadsheets. Mine's go back to 2008. Well, I still put down every single run. I put down an Excel spreadsheet. I'll write down like yesterday.
That's amazing.
10. So I've still got all my totals running back, even though it's all on Strava.
I don't have a spreadsheet. I've got diaries. I've got diaries that go back into the 90s.
So I've got a spreadsheet. Excel adds it all up for me. Anyway, so I've got this Excel spreadsheet, and I put all my times in, and then every time I get a PB, I can make it orange or red, and you can just see. When I first started running, every run was a PB, you know, and then of course, as you get older, you plateau.
Yeah.
They become harder and harder until
Mm.
eventually you're going to get any more. Yeah, I'm never going to run as fast as I ran in 2013, 10, 12 years ago. I probably peaked about maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I started running quite late. You know,
Mhm.
I probably didn't start running properly into my late 30s, early 40s. So I had about maybe 7 or 8 years where I was doing quite well and
Mhm.
getting faster and faster. And then 2004, maybe 2015, 16, there we go. And then injuries, which, you know, same old story, you know. Anyway, so I still love. I was excited about. I thought about this morning. I was going to chat to you. I said, you know, what all I thought about going to bed last night was getting up this morning, how I was going to do my runs, chat to you, and then and all I thought about the day before was what time I was going to get up and go for my run, and then could I get my 140 total, and then because I got Lighthouse coming in a couple of weeks, you know, 24-hour race. I'm normally trying to do about 200 Ks, and I'm focused now on trying to break 200 kilometers again for light horse.
Yeah.
I've done it for 2 years, and again, you know, a year older. Can I get the 200? So that'll be my target for the next 2 weeks, and then I'll have the race, and hopefully I'll break 200. Then instantly we'll turn on to the next race. And I suppose that's the challenge to me now. Is obviously I'm getting slower, and my distances are going to get shorter. Over time, but it's a case of trying to make it as minimum and minimize as much as possible. So I'm still trying to be the best I can be, and I suppose that's what it is. I'm just trying to be the best I can be, and I just love getting out there and doing it, you know. And that's why I do a lot of racing, so I can see how I'm going, I suppose, and from a competitive point of view.
What is it? What is it about pushing yourself? I had Pat Farmer on a few years ago as well, talking about some of the ultra distance running that
That
he's
guy's a
done.
legend. That
Yeah,
guy pushes himself.
and
He pushes himself.
he does, and I asked him that question, and he said there is something about going into these events where you literally like you get completely destroyed and then build yourself up again. Like it's that there's a whole renewing process that happens through the race or through the event where you literally are, you know, pulled all the way down and then manage to put yourself all back together again by the end, and you learn a lot about yourself as a result. So what sort of things, you know,
100%.
how does that
100%.
sit for you?
That Pat Farmer is such an incredible guy, and he's such an
Mm.
incredible guy.
Mm.
Anyway, you're lucky. I've never actually spoken to him. One day I'll have to meet you. He's one of my running heroes. One day I'll have to meet him. I've never met him. Anyway,
You should. He's a
what
good chatter
we
too. He likes to chat.
you know, he did so much work for the, you know, for the voice, didn't he?
He
Like
did.
he around Australia, and the thing
Amazing.
was, yeah, he did that, but he just tell Pat he needs a marketing manager. He hasn't got a marketing manager because he does all these great things, but no one knows about it. You know, I knew he was doing it, but I speak to other runners, and you know, for the voice, he actually ran around Australia,
He
and
did.
no one knew, you know, really.
You
You
had to
know,
be following
compared to
him
that
already.
Ned Brockman, you know about Ned Brockman, Ned Brockman, yeah. Anyway, Ned,
I
he
haven't
goes
interviewed
from,
him. No, I have
but you
not.
must have heard about him
I do know who he
because
is.
you know, he's gone from Perth to like Perth to Bondi,
Hmm.
which is like a tenth of what Pat's done.
Exactly.
Because he's got a marketing man, he's young, he's loud, he swears a lot, and he's got his own mill. You know, he made millions and millions of dollars. I think what Pat was doing was incredible, but he needs to, you know, I'm digressing here, but next time you do something incredible, Pat, let people know about it because they just don't
Or get
know.
someone else who will let people know about it while he's
Yeah, so I
running.
mean,
Yeah.
get a decent marketing
Yeah.
manager, you'll get more money anyway.
Good
I'm
plan.
not going to get the guy's a legend. Right, back to Pat and destroying yourself.
Yeah.
No, totally agree. That's why we do these events. That's because even on marathons, you're testing yourself, but you
Mm.
can only test yourself to a certain time. You know, you're trying to beat your time.
Mm.
You know, I always wanted to go sub 240. I never did it. 241 3 times. Before carbon plates, I wish Nike invented carbon plates 10 years earlier, and I would have got 230. I'd been a lot happier. But they never did. I think they invented it too late for me. So for the marathon, you know, that's what you can do. You can test yourself at these pace. That's an ultra. Oh my God, ultra. You know, what's that famous quote? Zatopek, if you want to change your life, run a marathon. And then Dean Carnegie goes, if you want to speak to God, run an ultra. Now, I've added my little bit on it. I said, if you want God to answer, and you want to speak, run a 200 miler. Because it's no more speaking to God. God talks to you at 200 miler. You will see stuff, and you will find out stuff about yourself that you didn't know, which is what Pat and all these longer 200 mile races let you do. And even 100 mile, like your 100K would have been hard. Of course, it would have been hard. But if you really want to find out about yourself, Michelle, really want to find out, you do a 200 miler, and then you'll find out what makes you tick in a good way, And as Pat said, you break yourself down, and you can rebuild yourself. And that's why I love about 200 milers. Every time I'm delirious, sometime along the way, I'm in a deep hole, and I'm saying, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to do this again. And I've signed up for my 6th time already. A year, I've already signed up for number 6. But every time I run it, and I even get my GoPro, and I get my GoPro, and I video myself saying to the GoPro, never run this event again. So I video myself so I can play it back and then see it on the video. I just go, oh, to me. Wasn't that bad?
I was obviously delirious.
That's exactly right. That's crazy. Then back I go again. So these events, they just allow you just basically break yourself down. You'll find yourself somewhere in the middle of the night by yourself, absolutely destroyed. Somewhere that people just don't go. Why would you? The people don't want to go there
because we've got so comfortable.
So, as I say, it's getting comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm not sure who said that, but that's an obvious quote, and that's what it is. But you can find out a lot about yourself, and then when you rebuild yourself, and when you finish, it's just an incredible feeling. The harder the race, the bigger the runner's high at the end. No one gets a runner's high running 5K. It's nice to finish a 5K, great. But you're not going to break down in tears and just go, Jesus Christ, I found that so much about myself.
The average person isn't anyway. Assume there are some people whose journey to the 5Ks will do.
No, couch to 5K, you're right. And again, that at their stage in their running career, you're right. I take it back. It's totally true. But they can go into a dark place in 5K and come out the other end a better person. So I'm not agreeing. I take that back. But on the 200 mile, trust me, the 200 mile, you will find yourself in the paid caves.
I always want to ask you guys how you deal, and I touched on it before, but how you deal with the sleep element. Like, I really like my sleep, and I don't even know if because I want to do 100 miler. That's my next thing after I do the overland track here next year, hopefully, if I can get in, which is a bit shorter than 100K, but iconic in Tasmania. But I do struggle with the idea of the lack of sleep, and I wonder how I would deal with that, even just having a little bit of a sleep here and a little bit of a sleep there. So how do you find that? Are you just good at doing stuff without any sleep?
Well, funny enough, I quite enjoy it because you get to hallucinate, and hallucinating is fun. Oh my God, Michelle, you must have hallucinations. I actually, no.
So funny.
The first time it happened to me was back at Ultra, because in the back at Ultra, you really can't get it. Well, Phil Gore sleeps, he'll do a fast lap and get a 20-minute nap.
Yeah.
Now me, I do that because by the time I need my sleep, I'm pretty knackered, pretty goosed. I'm not as fit as Phil. He's about 20 years younger than me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm not as fit as Phil. So I tend to I'll struggle on through, hit the no-dose tablets and just not sleep. Just go through the night. Love my no-dose, love the drugs. And so by the second night, I'm seeing all sorts of stuff. Oh my God. I always remember Unreasonable, the 200 mile in the Blue Mountains, which was an incredible event. The only other 200 mile I've done, Sean Kessler managed to get all the approvals for 200 mile in the Blue Mountains a couple of years ago, 2022, the Unreasonable East. So we went and did that. In Cornwall, and off we went. I've never been to the Blue Mountains before, so imagine, because obviously you've got the UTMB or the UTA, which is 100K, which is big. But Sean Kessler managed to get the approvals for 200 miler. Of course, you never got them again. So that's it. It's a one-off. they moved the unreasonable age to Cairns because he couldn't get the approvals again. So hard. Anyway, we did it. But I remember the second night, and Rob Donkersley was my support. He was my crew.
Awesome.
So Bob was looking after me, which is great. Because
So good.
you know, Rob's so dry and so cool.
Yes.
It was that's a funny story of Rob. I'll quickly digress with Rob. The first night, you know, it was a 200 mile. So the first day we get to like up to the halfway stage, no sleep. So Rob's hired a car. So I said, well, I'll get a couple of hours sleep in the car. And Rob says, well, I'll join you. We'll sit in the front seat, put the seats back and get some sleep. So we get in the car and I'm laying there and I could just hear this noise. And I thought Rob was playing the computer game. It's just like, I thought, Rob, he's playing the bloody computer game. I can't get any bloody sleep. I'm laying there, my eyes closed. I can hear this noise and it kept going on and on and on. In the end, I looked over and it was him snoring. He was snoring.
His snore sounds like a computer game.
A computer game. And so I'm laying there like,
oh my God.
I got no, for 2 hours I'm laying there. My support crew, meant to be looking after me, snoring next to me. And I couldn't sleep. So the second night, we're going through the forest. I hadn't slept now, you know, because maybe you don't get much sleep the night before. So it's probably my third night of very little or no sleep. I remember coming up to this aid station, it's probably about 2 or 3 in the morning in the forest, and I was hallucinating, and the whole forest was going off. I mean, it was just the most incredible thing to show, because you know you're hallucinating, of course you are. But you know, I was just seeing that it was like high definition TV on the big trees. And I'm just standing there looking at this tree, and Sarah Niven was running with. She said, "What are you doing, Kev?" I said, "There's a bloody telly. Someone's put a telly. There's a telly, and this is brilliant. You know, imagine putting a TV in a forest." I was sitting there looking at this tree. She goes, "Kev, there's nothing there." I said, "Sarah, I'm telling you, there's a telly. I'm not leaving. I'm watching telly. I'm not leaving. It's incredible." And so the hallucinations are absolutely brilliant. So as for sleep deprivation, I haven't got a problem with it.
You love it. It's
I love it.
Part of the joy.
Yeah, but then we got to an aid station, 20 minutes came and it's gone. You know, I woke up 20 minutes later, here we go, more hallucinations, gone, it's fine. But for a 200 miler, as long as you're a semi-quick runner, you haven't even got to be that quick really, and stay ahead of the sweeper. You could like the Delirious. I've always said to people, the Delirious, which is in the WA, from Northcliffe to Albany, 200 miles. You start Wednesday, 7 o'clock in the morning. You've got till Sunday, 1 o'clock. They have 104, 105 hours. You could actually hike it. You could hike that in that time with no sleep. But if you just jog along, you could have 3, 4, 5, 6 hours sleep every night, as long as you did a good enough running in the day.
Yeah.
But so sleep-wise with Delirious, I try and do 2 or 3 hours a night.
Okay.
But I'm not racing. So on these longer races, you can get 2 to 3 hours, and that's all you need, Michelle. It's all you need for those 3 or 4 days. You know, sleep deprivation. I love my sleep like you, so I don't run in the mornings. So I love my sleep as much as the next person. Now, I'm normally in bed by 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm trying to watch this at 9 o'clock. You know, luckily my wife's sleep is a late sleeper, so I never see her in bed. I can't think of the last time Karen has come to bed and I've actually noticed.
So does she enjoy being a running widow?
Yeah, well, maybe maybe not. No. She puts up with me. I think she's very good. You know, a runner like me needs a very forgiving wife.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because there is a commitment, isn't it? Like it is. We've talked about it on the podcast before with some people, and even for some people with their normal lives, if they decide to do the bucket list marathon, that's 6 months commitment of quite dedicated training where they have to change whatever their normal life is. I mean, your normal life now is running all the time, but it does take, you've got to take the whole family with you. Like for me, I've done a bunch of marathons and I've had 5 children, and at the end of it, I always have that, the giddy thing you used to have after a marathon. probably get the same after doing an ultra. I'm sure I have actually. But you want to thank everyone who helped you. You've got to send everyone these messages. But it's often to your family, because you know the commitment they've had to do without you in different areas of your life as you've been training for these things.
100%. Yeah, it's so true. So true. And anyone who meets me or meets Karen, they always say, you're his wife. Poor Karen. Poor Karen. Everyone says poor Karen. What about poor Kevin? No one ever says poor Kevin. They always say, are you married to Kevin Matthews? How'd you do it?
Sorry for you.
So she puts it on. I'm very lucky of the wife, put up with me and the kids. And but you're right. Every time I finish an ultra, like delirious, I always promise, I want to go for a big family holiday. I'll make it up to you. You know, I've been away a lot, but I never get around to it.
You have children, Kevin? We didn't talk.
I know. I'm lucky they're older as well, and maybe that's why I started running combines, because I think they were younger. I thought because I think maybe what it was, you know, the kids were very young, so to get away from them, I do running, because every man does. And I realised for the marathon, you know, really in your long runs, 20K, 25 hours, 2.5 hours. I thought, I do combines. I used to go up in the hills at 6 in the morning on a Saturday, and I could be gone till lunchtime. Because I'm doing training for an ultra, it takes a lot longer. That's more kev time, as I call it. I love my kev time with my mates. So I do my training in the morning, come back at midday, absolutely knackered. Then I had 3 young daughters, and my wife would just say, right, there's the kids. And I'd get the kids, drive to the park, get the Sunday paper, Saturday paper. They'd run amok in the park, sit there dozing, reading the paper.
Do any of your kids run? Has that been a thing that they've
decided?
No,
and again, no, because of that. I think because of I run so much, they're not runners. They're not runners, you know. I think I'm not sure they're bitter that Dad did a lot of running. I hope. I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know.
You showed them extreme version of it.
Yes, I suppose they always dragged around these events when they were growing up, you know, to all the marathons, and they always see me finish. You know, it's not pretty exciting. They always obviously push yourself. So they see Dad suffer all the time. They thought, why? Actually, you know yourself, Michelle. You know, as people always say to me, you never see runners smile when they're racing. It's very rare. You do with ultra running, but
I smile all the time. I'm known for it.
There's more of a grimace for me. I was chatting with my dog a lot about it, and he said, you know, try and smile when you run, because it's been proven if you smile, you know, it's easier. It's right. I mean, you're probably the same, but I remember, a couple of times I'd be in the trail and I would try and run and smile, and it's difficult. You can't smile. You're like, actually, you can't. You know, lie. I'm looking at chat to you now. You know, we can see each other on Zoom. I can smile, quite happy to smile. I can smile.
You're going to say you can smile.
When you're running, you try and smile. It's hard because you're grimacing. You're in the pain cave. I'll just smile, then things will feel better. No, when you're in the pain cave, you're in the pain cave. And if you try and smile, you end up looking like a Joker. It's just like this grimace. Like, it's not a smile.
I love it.
You can't.
I hope
so. I think, well, yeah, I can't smile when I'm back.
With your girls, I hope that it's like I believe that us showing them that they have a parent or parents who like to be physically active, that whether they choose it at any given moment in their lives, they have it in their DNA. So if they ever decide, I want to get fit, I want to get healthy, running for your girls will be something they think, well, I could give it a go. Don't have to do it like Dad, but I know it's in my genes. Like it's something that's I could do because it's in my genetics. I don't know. That was something I played with.
Another funny story. My middle daughter did show an interest, so we did a couple of runs together. And then we did a park run once. So I said, right, this park run. I think she was 10, 12, maybe 10. I said, we're gonna do 30 minutes. We're gonna do 36-minute case. So we're gonna do 6-minute case. No reason for that. No reason. This is the first part.
A random number.
So we're gonna do 6-minute case. Do 30 minutes. Off we go. So the first K 5:50, good. Second K 5:45, whatever. She's on target. Third K again on target because I'm pacing. This is easy for me, you know. But then she, you know, 4K, Dad, you know, I'm feeling great, Dad. You know, this is quite hard. She's getting a bit red, flustered, and I'm just like jogging along. So I'm, you know, this is not, you know. I said, no, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Come on. It's only 2 more K to get. It'll be easy. Oh, Dad, I'm not sure. Come on. 4K, we did it just. So they come around the corner, they're 4.5K, and then she's suffering. I said, "We'll get these people, catch you. We'll catch you. Come on, big finish. Nah, man, I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna be sick. You ain't gonna be sick. There's no way you're gonna be sick. Come on, we're gonna catch these people. Nah, Dad, I'm not. I'm gonna be sick. Nah, you're not. Next thing, she's sick all over the park. No. So I pushed her so hard, I made her vomit. As you can
Oh,
imagine, Michelle, she's never run another step in her
oh.
life.
I have one of my 5 children who cried all the way through her first race at running club, because I help organise the running club here,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
like handicap races at the start, all through winter for 20 weeks of the year. So I was going there on a Saturday, they all go there. And I've got one daughter who cried all the way through her first 1.5K when she was 6. And she's never really, well, she runs a little bit every now and then, but the rest of them all got into running and all did plenty of running at that time. Now they're all adults, not so much, but we'll see. I live in hope.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, I think, yeah, and I think Michelle, you know, that was just as competitive dad for no reason. You know, she showed an interest and really screwed that one up. But anyway, and I think my last daughter, because I think Hannah, the middle daughter, see her experience, my last daughter says, "No way I'm going running with you, Dad." Not after what he did to my sister. So that was it. So the girls don't. My wife doesn't run. I just fun. So they're fit enough girls, of course. But
Yeah.
they're not. I didn't see them running a marathon with Dad.
Well, never
No.
say never. Who knows?
Well, if they do, I'll make sure I'll be.
Um,
No, I wouldn't do that.
I wanted to ask you what it is you think all of this ultra trail running has actually taught you about yourself. Like, what have you learnt about who you are?
Yeah, good question.
Because we talk about it
I
all,
suppose,
building you up and pulling us down and building us
yeah,
up again
yeah.
and thing.
I suppose, you know, there's been a lot of times where it would have been easier to quit, you know, well, and obviously I've had a few DNFs, you know, I had two DNFs in my career, you know, in the many of my runs, and it was the first delirious I DNF'd, because I'd gone through, it was 2020, I'd entered delirious on a win. It was you know, this is something I've never done before, 200 miler, and I think I got flu actually after the City Reserve Marathon in 2019, quite bad flu, and I was sick for quite some time, and it sort of hung about, and I sort of lost my love for running because it's really difficult, it just wouldn't go away. So that's end of 2019, and delirious is in February 2020. Because of that, I just basically stopped running. It's probably the only time it's ever happened to me that I lost my running mojo.
Wow.
And my barista at the time in City Beach, my mate George, was a runner, and I'd been badgering him into delirious. We'll run delirious together. I said, "Come, we'll run together, me and you." And he said, "No, I'm not running it. I'm not running." I said, "Fair enough." And then the week I was going to pull out and tell Sean Kessel that not run for 3 months, I'm just not into it. I'm just not lost my mojo. George enters the meeting, but he enters, and I went back, chat to my wife. I said, my heart sank because I knew I had to do it. And I said to Karen, my wife, I said, "I can't believe it. He's bloody entered." She went, "I thought you pulled out." I said, "I was going to pull out this week." So I'd done no training. I hadn't been in the hills. I'd done no training whatsoever. So I thought, I'll go. You know, I know. You know, I've been running for 10 years. How hard can it be? So off we went. So 7 o'clock, off we go. So I was unsupported, and I just had no food, no drink, and it was hot. But I loved it, and I actually loved the whole event. I just really enjoyed it. It got to 70K at Pinja. I still remember Pinja aid station, 70K, 10 hours in, and the legs, the hammies seized. It just totally seized. And I sat down, fell down, had some pancakes and bacon, as you do. And then got up, and they were just totally seized. They hadn't eaten, they hadn't drank, they hadn't trained, you know. And anyway, so I managed to stagger along to the next aid station, had a pot noodle, you know. So again, I wasn't eating, wasn't drinking. And that night, we were running through the night to Mandalay, and I just couldn't, because the quads are seized, I couldn't raise my feet, and I kept tripping over. So I kept falling over, I didn't have any poles. So I've been running and walking, and it's dark. I had a crappy head torch. I think I bought like a $50 head torch from Kathmandu. You're just like, what are you doing here? This crappy little head torch, it was on the counter, $50 special.
Yeah.
I thought that'll do. Anyway, couldn't see anything, kept falling over. And it's funny, George was with me, and but a runner went past me, and then because George had left me, he could see a head torch behind him, and he assumed it was me. So he carried on and left me. So then I'm sitting on the ground by myself.
Oh no!
Head torch goes out because it's a crappy head torch. That lasted about half an hour. So I'm sitting there in the dark. And then, luckily, a friend of mine, Wayne, went past and found me and dragged me to the next aid station, which is Mandalay, which is up there, about maybe 112k in, about 2 in the morning, freezing cold, sitting in Felix's car. The quads are seized, I'm not in a happy place. I said, that's it, I'm out, I'm pulling the pin, I'm out of it. So I DNF'd. And then sat down the next day and realized what I'd done, but it was going to happen.
Yeah.
But then did it the next year with support, and I trained and I had hydration, nutrition. I mean, it's just the best event ever, really. When that's why I've done it, 4 times since, and the 5th time. And I'll keep doing Delirious while I can walk. When I can walk, I'll be doing Delirious. It's just an incredible event. But so for that DNF, I really let myself down. But it was just a case of I hadn't trained, I had a bit of like nutrition, hydration, I wasn't supported. So I just sat down and worked out what I did wrong. And then the next year, again, I went back. But again, it wasn't all smooth sailing. And again, I got to a point, I think 11 o'clock on the first night. Again, it's pouring with rain. I'm sitting in my support's car, it's cold. And I'm sitting to myself thinking, well, maybe I can't run 200 miles. Maybe this is really beyond me. I just can't do. And then I was like, well, no, this is not. I'm out that. We're going to finish this bloody race. Opened the door and then said, look, let's go. Ran to the next aid station. Had a good night's sleep. Got to the next day. Sunset came up and just had the best time. But sitting in that car, I was in the same situation as the year before. The option was there to pull out, and I just said, no, not this time. And I'm just so glad that I just got out of the car. Because as soon as I started running again, 10 minutes later, I felt good. I did it. I got past that mental block of this little chance to pull out. You don't have to do 200 miles anymore. And then the next day, I remember when the sun came up. It was just such an incredible feeling, and that's it. Ever since then, I've done quite a lot of 200 miles and 100 miles, and I've never once have I ever thought about pulling the pin ever. It's just I broke through to the other side. To quote Jim Morrison, that was my moment. That was the option to pull the pin, and now it's just about every race is I never even think about the DNF. It's just how much, or obviously they're hard. Of course they're hard, but it's just a case of it's just good to get to that sort of situation where it's incredibly hard, and then just say, now on we go, and just keep moving forward.
That's what they say, isn't it? We learn more from our failures. Sorry.
That's right. 100% agree with that, Michelle. 100% agree. I can still remember now, that sitting on the park, sitting on the bloody trail by myself in the dark, stupid head torch, pitch black, thinking, what have I done? And then going to DNFing. But then the next year, being in a similar situation and putting through.
Yeah.
And now, when I run Delirious, there's no way on this planet I'm not going to finish. And all races really, there's no more DNS for me. If I set up for a race, I'm going to finish. So it's good. That's what it is. So sometime along, even in the last race you did, there must have been time, that 100k race. There must have been times when you thought, this is stupid. What am I doing?
I got injured halfway and did the second half by myself, basically, because I injured my knee and couldn't go downhill without it screaming. So there was a lot more downhill to do. But so I walked a lot of the second half. But I loved it. Even that, I didn't really care. Like, it was fun. I just was finishing it. I had no There was no not finishing it for me in my brain. I didn't really care how I did it, and I was just going to finish it. But it happy. I loved it. It was best. Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, I can't wait to
I'll
do it
tell you,
again.
next April, I've got Pado's coming next April. I think he's coming. I'm pretty sure he's coming to Delirious next April. Pado. So if you come to Delirious, I'll run it with you. There you go.
Oh, thank you. That's so cool. Then when
Yeah.
I don't have my crappy head torch, I can borrow your good one.
I tell you what, all joking aside, I've got mine. Hang on, I've got it in there.
The good head torches. I actually
My
realized that I
top of
needed
the
a better
range
one.
head torch, top of the range head torch now. My silver.
Ah, it looks
This head
awesome.
torch. This is the battery. It's 600. The $600 head torch. I bought the most expensive head torch in the world because I love. After that, I said, "Oh, that will never happen to me again." So I got the battery pack, and you can charge the battery pack with the battery. So
Yeah.
I will never ever run out of light again because of that. I got.
Can you send me a link to that? I'll put it in the show notes because I'm sure there are people out there thinking, what head torch is he talking about that was really awesome?
It's from Sweden. Come
Of
on,
course it
any head
is.
torch from Sweden. They've got ABBA and Volvos. What
They
more?
do.
Bless my kid.
They probably have quite long nights in the middle of winter as well.
They do. So
That's right.
yeah. So I've learned my lesson when it comes to head torches.
I
Much to my
love it.
wife's disgust. In fact, told her how much it was. She was not happy. But this head torch, I'll tell you what, Michelle, when you put this head torch on,
Good.
I don't really run it in the night anymore. It's actually lighter in the night with this head torch. It must be like a million lumens. You can see it in space. If I've got my head torch on, NASA call me and say, "Okay, you did it." Because the astronauts can't see what they're doing. It's a pretty bloody good head torch.
They don't think the sun's gone down in Western Australia yet.
That's right, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I've
I
learned
love
my
it.
lesson. Yeah, but if you come along, if you want to come, if you want to, because there's a good chance next year. My friend Barcy, who I did a couple of years ago, DNF, didn't finish it, and I said to him, "Look, if you do it next year, 25, I said, I promise you, I will get you to the finish. It's 100% guarantee, unless you say you've had enough, of course. But I will run with you, and I'll and finish on Sunday. So I'm gonna next year in 25. I'm gonna sort of enjoy Delirious more rather than I normally race it.
Yeah, you'll be a support.
But yeah, I just said there'll be a BK bus, and on BK bus, it's 100% guaranteed finish, money back guarantee. You need to talk Kessler about that. But if you're on the BK bus, there's going to be lots of fun, lots of singing, lots of eating, lots of stopping for swims in lakes.
When you described it earlier, you described it, and someone else has said that actually, that it's a bit like some of these ultras, including these ones that Sean puts on, can be a bit like a moving feast. Like it's just, which reminded me of that, there's a run in France where they run in through the vineyards and what's it called, Murdoch or something, and they run from and they all just try wine and stuff all the way along. Crazy.
100%. Deliver. What Sean does, he gives each aid station $400 to spend on food. Obviously as a minimum, but they spend more themselves. These volunteers are incredible, Michelle.
Wow.
Don't forget, it's a week. Wednesday till Sunday, so they drive down on the Monday, Tuesday, and they could be at more than one aid station. And they'll spend their own money on the extra food. I take support. My mate Mark Leonard's comes. I've got support. Mark's been for 3 years and he loves it as much as I do. But the food is incredible, and also, but don't forget as well, in ultra, any food tastes so much better because you're so knackered. So
That's
the
true.
food
I agree.
the food goes up to 11. Yeah, the food is another reason to run an ultra. Like my mate Mark cooks me a steak every year. I get Wednesday night I get spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah.
Thursday and Friday I get steak. It's tradition. We get wheat bix in the morning, and then we get pancakes and lots of bacon and egg rolls. It's not very vegan. Anyway, the steak that Mark cooks every year, I said to him, I don't know how he did it. This is better than last year, and it's just incredible. Because you're so hungry and you're so tired, you eat anything, the taste is amplified, and everything tastes good.
I love it. And I love that it's all real food too. That's amazing. Well,
that's again, of oxygen you've got to eat. You can't survive on goose, and
Mm.
you know, and electrolytes and tablets, you know, so another reason why I love an ultra, you know, when I used to run marathons, it was free goos and free goos, you spit on your face and a bit of water, you know, with an ultra, you're getting a starter, a main course and a sweet, and you can still win the bloody race. How good is that?
So funny. I love it. Now, a question I often ask people is around identity and when you started calling yourself a runner. Can you remember that? When do you think you first thought of yourself as a runner? Or do you even think of yourself? I assume you do, but you
Oh, I
might
don't
not.
know.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question actually, because obviously, you know, when I was in Aberdeen, you know, I trained for the
Yeah, you
Aberdeen
went in.
10K, but like 3 or 4 runs, maybe 6 weeks, and then
Mhm.
that was spent the year. Maybe go out once or twice a week for a 10K jog in the dark and
Yep.
snow. Because I always remember in Aberdeen, I remember once, you know, because it was so cold, you'd have your trainers on, and then I'd have like cloth you know, tracksuit bottoms, you know, like cotton tracksuit bottoms, and then 2 t-shirts and a jumper and a beanie, gloves. It's horrendous. Like, whereas in Perth, I'll just be a pair of shorts
That's
and some shoes, you know,
yeah.
and a cap.
Yep.
But I suppose after Convate, you know, when I finished Convate in 2008, because at the time, that was proper ultra. 89K in
Oh yeah.
2008, that was incredibly, that
Yeah.
was a massive ultra. You know, we trained for 6 months at that run, and we go over.
Mm.
Whereas now, you know, like I said earlier, you know, I did that 24 park runs in 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I think I decided to do that. That's on a Saturday, 8 o'clock start. I think the day before I did 34K in the hills. I thought, you know what, I've got nothing planned for tomorrow. I'll do that. And then the following week, I did the 80 or 100K. So like, it's like, that was again on the wheel. I thought, you know, I'm going to do that 100K. Whereas, you know, so those sort of distances now where you've done, you know, as you said earlier, I'm always ready to race.
Yeah.
Whereas Convent, we train all year for this 89K,
Yeah.
incredible distance. Oh, how can anyone run 89K?
I remember.
I mean, if you say Kev run 89K after this podcast, put it on Strava and run 89K, you know, it wouldn't be a problem. It'd be slow, but I'd do it. So I think after Convent, I started realizing, you know, I started to think more about running, but it's just something I did. It became more important. I wanted to get back to Conway again, and I wanted to start getting my marathon time down. And also, just chatting to you then, all my friends became runners. I think before I did Conways, I had a social life, and I had friends who didn't run. And then over the years, little by little, I've whittled them all out of my life. So honestly, now I'm sad to admit I haven't got any friends who don't run. I know I don't know. I don't socialize with anybody who doesn't run. And all my old friends, yeah, they're gone. You know,
They're
they're
old
no
friends.
longer. They're all friends, you know, and all I've got is this sad bunch of runners who look like me. And obviously the socially as well, you know, my wife's got a load of social life with her friends now. She's given up waiting for me. You know, I sort of don't drink. I haven't really drank since I came to Australia, really, you know. And then as soon as I become a proper runner, there's no drinking. Um, don't eat junk food, and you sort of watch what you eat. And I'm not aiming about it, but you know, I'm not going to eat some chips and pizzas and stuff like that. I'm more the chicken and rice and salad, you know. And I don't drink alcohol, so there's no alcohol anymore. Although I'll have a couple of pints of Guinness when I finish the 200 mile. I can still drink alcohol, but on a day-to-day basis, you know, no, I
It's not a big
prefer
part of your life.
no, not at all. I think this year I would have known. I did 2 pints of Guinness in February when I finished Delirious, and maybe a glass of wine. So maybe 3 drinks this year. It's been a big year for me this year. 3 drinks.
I thought I was pretty small
No,
on like one glass of wine a week, maybe on average. I'm not a big drinker either, but
you're
I
an
thought
alcoholic compared
I
to me.
feel like an alcoholic compared to you.
Yeah. But no, so I suppose then after Convent, you know, I started cutting out all my friends, which is, I apologize, they're nice people, but they just, you know, I was more just focused on the running. And yeah. And then I became this sad man now who runs twice a day with a grimace on his face, but on the inside, I am smiling.
You're happy. We believe you.
Promise. Yeah,
I wanted to say earlier as well, and you just made me think of it again. I read something recently about limits and how the only limits we have are the limits that we put on ourselves or the limits that we allow society to put on us. That even just, when you brought up Conrad, I can remember years ago, like back probably around the time that you first ran it, that it did seem like this way off distance that, normal people were starting to head over there and do it, but they were extraordinary normal people. They're on the edge of the people that I knew who were doing marathons, and that was something you would do if you were just way more adventurous. But now that limit seems to have been, it's not that that's still not an amazing and incredible thing to go and do. And I don't know if it's because I've talked to all of you guys who do these crazy ultra things, trail runs and stuff. But it just feels like the limits that we've applied as a society or whatever have really changed. And really it is limitless. Like what we can do with ourselves is limitless. I just find it fascinating because it's almost, I could see it opening up in this last sort of 20 or 30 years. Anyway, I just wanted to mention.
Totally agree. Totally agree. No, I 100% agree. But even then, there's all types of limits because you chat to me, I'm talking about 200 miles, then you chat to Pat Farmer, he's talking about running around Australia, and then and the guy that's done the length of Africa, is in the news, and that took over a year to run the length of Africa. I'll tell you what, probably hear this, the last big. The last big frontier, I think, of running, the last frontier, if you want to make yourself known globally around the world, is to run that longest run, where it starts top right in Russia and it goes all the way down. The longest run you can do on land.
Yeah.
And I think you end up in Russia top right, you go all the way down, end up in like bottom of Africa.
I can say Africa or something, yeah.
It's incredible. It's Africa, and that's an incredible distance. And I always say to people, if you're a real runner, you do that, you write a book, it's a Roger Bannister of running, of ultra. You can do that. It may take you 2 years, then you write a book, and you'll never work another day in your life and spend the whole time on the circuit talking about it. But so that is, to me, that would be the limit of what a runner can do on this planet, unless someone goes there and back, of course. And that's what's going to happen. Someone will do that, Michelle, and they're going to go, "Oh my God, we've done it." And then someone's going to go, "Well, I'm going to do a comrade. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to run it backwards."
I'm going to run uphill.
So
I'm going to run from the bottom.
That's right. I'm going to call it. There's all, there is no limit. I'm a Goggins fan as well, although he does swear a lot, Mr. Goggins, and he's a bit repetitive. And he's a bit unprepared, so he's not perfect by any stretch of imagination. But I do believe that we only tap into 40% of what's available, and the brain protects the body by not letting you tap into that 60 and get close to the 100. Because the only issue of getting close to the 100 is there ain't 101. When you reach 100, that's it. You tap out. So again, I'm a massive believer in the 40-60 rule with Goggins. And also, the central governor from those, the law of running. I love that book. It's very cool. Same sort of thing.
It's right there over on my bookshelf. It's that black.
But I know it's best book ever. Best book ever. And the biggest. But the central governor notices the same thing. It's a central governor. And again, I think about that sometimes when on delirious, when I'm in dark places. I go, I'm going to say, come on, mind. We got this. It's like the end of a marathon. You look at the end of the marathon, that last 500 meters, there's very few people stagger. There's a lot of people sprinting.
I got a good sprint at the end of my marathon, don't you worry. I even ran quite well at the end of my 103, if I hadn't run just before.
Yeah, but you can see that finish line, all of a sudden, you're crawling, you come around that corner, hang on a sec, and boom, everyone's sprinting. If you can tap into that 50 Ks down the track, which I know you can. So, limitless, there may be a limit, but I think we're a long way. All of us can go further than we think we can, which is another reason why, I do a segue into backyard ultras, because backyard ultras let you tap into that limit, because every hour on the hour, you're back to the start, and you can actually sort of semi-walk it and get to the end. So there's very few people in the backyard ultra. Everyone says, "Oh, I'm going to time out. I'm not going to tap out. I'm going to time out." But I guarantee only 5% still time out. The other 95 will go into it saying, "There's no way I'm going to tap out. There's no way, I'm going to time out. I'm not going to finish my lap." But they all do, and they all think of reasons why. I've done 10 backyard ultras, timed out twice. So 8 times I've lied to myself. I said, I'm not going to tap out. And I found an excuse to tap out. You can always find them.
Yeah, of course.
So back to the other limits. I don't think there are. And I think we're given more opportunities now to go further. Like in 2008, there wasn't a 200 miler in WA. The 89K was seen as that was the longest race. Obviously, there's marathon, the Sable, that was around, but there wasn't the Triple Crown in the States. The Tahoo, the Bigfoot, and then I'm not even sure there was the UTMB and there may have been. But again, don't forget we're talking about as well times semi before the internet-ish, where you didn't even know these races existed.
No.
You didn't,
That's right.
Whereas now, you can get, like me, I can go on the internet and type in 200 mile, and they're all globally, there's hundreds of them. So there's a lot more you can do.
Exciting.
And what Sean does as well, I go back to Ultra Series. What Sean does is about ordinary people achieving extraordinary things. People, people who maybe take 6 hours to finish a marathon and be at the back of the pack. I don't think they're runner. Sean will enable them to finish a 200 miler,
which is incredible.
It's a massive cutoff. And he's letting people who they even look like runners. Some of them, I love them to death, but they're not stereotypical runner. They're not 60 or 40, 50 kilos. But what they have got is Sean pushes them, and mentally tough. They can get to the end with the right crew and the right motivation and the right course and the right. So it is. I think the human body is just about limitless. Really, it's just a case of how much you want to push yourself.
I guess they come away realizing that they can do tough things, and that's probably one of the biggest things I got out of mine. You can do tough things. Just because it's hard doesn't mean you can't do it. That sort of thing, and that applies to the rest of their life. And it's quite a gift for the rest of your life, not just for that event.
100%. My favourite place in the world is the finish line delirious on Sunday. I tend to finish on Friday or Saturday, but my favourite place in the world, I'll be there afterwards. I get there and get my chair out, sit down, and it's to watch the people cross the line on the Sunday afternoon when they've been out there for 100 hours. 100 hours. And you watch them cross the line, and that's life-changing for you and for them. And they've achieved incredible. And these are people that say, who wouldn't do a 6-hour marathon? Who wouldn't do a 2 or 3 hour in the street? You wouldn't pick them as runners.
Yeah,
and they've been out there, 4 days, and they come across that finish line. Oh, the emotions. That's the runner's high on steroids. That'll be me and you next. Me and you in April, Michelle.
That's right. Just like that. I wanted to.
You're coming.
Oh, look at you! I'm so serious. You have to stay on my back. I like that. I need accountability.
You can do it.
I know I can.
There's lots of videos about delirious. Get on YouTube and type in delirious. Watch the videos and then sign up. And then I promise me and you. Also, it's good to finish on Sunday because there's a massive crowd there.
I have had Sean on my. Sean's been on the podcast too, so I'm all over.
I'm surprised. I am actually surprised that Sean's not persuaded you to do it because he is. Well, you know what Sean's like.
I do.
You think I'm bad. He's me on steroids.
It's probably because speaking to him and you and all the others over there that I even went out and did my own 103 here in Tassie. So that I convinced myself that I could go beyond the 60 that I've done previous to that. I've done a bunch of 50s as well, but yeah. Anyway, so it's because of you guys. I'm just a slow boiler. Like I'm just slowly getting my way up to.
You got till next April. You got plenty of time. We'll be there together. I'll tell you what. Next April we'll be on the start line and we'll look at each other and discuss where it all started. 2:44 on the
Woohoo!
15th.
You got it? Okay. Well, you just keep bugging me about it. I wanted to tell you, while you were talking about the guys doing amazing things, there's one Australian guy who's running around the world at the moment. He's about to finish, I think, Tim
That's right.
Franklin.
Yes.
Tim
Yes.
Franklin as well.
Yes.
He's going to come on my podcast, he said. I just have to get him to put it in his calendar so, when he's not tired, because he's running every day, as you know.
Again, the thing with Tim is, yeah, he needs again, he needs a marketing manager.
He's great though.
What he's done is incredible. It's incredible. And he came to Perth, and he put out people to run with him. And I missed it. I actually missed it. I don't know what I was doing. I was busy at work. I was running. But again, it's what I mean. He's around the bloody world.
I told him he needs to come to Tassie.
What someone's got to do now to beat him, they've got to do it the other way, or do it twice. And that's why it's limitless, because someone will see what he's done and go, well, if he can do it, you know what?
Yeah.
He did it this way, we'll go this way.
Yeah.
So incredible. And I'll listen to the podcast when you speak to him, because the stories he'll have.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it, actually.
It's limitless.
I bugged him a lot, and he has come back to me in his credit and said, yes, I'll do it soon. I've just got to get to Australia. Now he's in Australia. I'll be doing it soon. Don't worry. So I will bug him again now, because he just reminded me.
He's quite busy running.
I know.
Well, when do you plan to finish? Do you know?
I don't know. I was just looking him up then to try and work it out. But he's only about to come into Adelaide. So what has he been in Australia now? A month or so? I want to say maybe a bit more.
Yeah, he's got Perth.
I assume he's finishing in Sydney. So he's probably still got a couple of months.
Pretty close, yeah.
Mm.
And that's it. Something like that, you wonder when he finishes, what's that? When I finished Delirious, you sort of like, you come back to work next week, you're on a downer, because you're so high, and you come off the downer. Even your 100K, when you finished out 106, you'd have been on a high. The next week, you're like,
One thing I did, one thing I did, which was a bit unique, was, and perhaps if I sign up for the Delirious, I could do something similar. But I got the organizers to send me a bunch of athletes who are also training 6 months out. And then once a month we got on and we did a 15 to 20 minute recording of a podcast, and then I put it up. So everybody, including them, we got to follow each other's journey training 6 months prior. And then we did the what was it like once you finished? How did it all pan out? So we had this whole party the whole way through, and support and accountability, and it felt great. And even I've had lots of messages back from just the audience saying how much they enjoyed being on the journey with us to the start line, and then to hear how it all panned out. It was a really cool thing to do. So might do that for Delirious. That would be fun. Then you get all this accountability doing it with other people.
Well, no, that's a good idea. So you're already talking yourself up for Delirious. As far as you're concerned, you're there.
Going on. Crazy.
I'll speak to Sean. I'll get Sean to get in touch. Yeah.
Will you? Oh, thanks for that.
We go.
Amazing. In return, I'll do podcast for him.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I'll ask him about that. You never know. He's always up for. The thing with Sean is,
clever.
All joking aside, he may do that because it's more about you achieving your goals.
Yeah.
He is that unselfish. He would rather you did the money's nice, obviously, but again, for him, given the choice of the two, he would say, Michelle, let's do it. I just want to see you do something extraordinary. So that is Sean Kessler.
There you go, Sean. We're talking you up, and not to mention your races. It feels like the whole podcast has been an advertisement for the Ultra Series, which is awesome. I wholly back that.
Yes.
When I wanted to just touch on, I know we've gone on and on, and I knew this was going to happen. Well, we both said this was going to happen, which is cool. I hope everyone's enjoying it. I'm sure they are, because very interesting stories that you're sharing, and very inspiring and motivating. When you were injured, and we talked a bit about your identity as a runner and when that happened and all that kind of stuff. So when you get injured and you can't run for a period, how do you deal with that? Like, your identity as a runner now can't run for a period. How do you deal with that?
Well, for me, I bought an elliptical, the stand-up bike, the elliptical, and also I bought a Bionic.
Yeah.
And the Bionic was an incredible bike. The Bionic was a locally produced stand-up bike from people in WA. So I've got a bionic and a elliptical stand-up bike, and just a lot of stand-up bikes stuff. You know, it looks a bit silly, but I just do that. You know, I'll be on my stand-up bike. I find the hill, dropping down it. So I just kept myself
moving.
fit, Michelle. And to tell you the truth, because it was an injury, a calf tear. It was a calf tear and hamstring tears with only once, so I didn't run. When you got PF, you can still run. You know, it's not as good.
Yeah.
So that was a worse injury, because you sort of still running, but it's not the same. Whereas when you got a tear, you can't run. So and you can see an end 6 to 8 weeks. Well, 6 to 8 weeks of not running. So I'll get on my stand-up bike. I'll do a bit. I know. So I did a bit of that. Went to the gym. So I kept myself busy. And then when you come back from injury, I quite like coming back from injury, because you're sort of like starting again.
Yeah.
Like I had to do it, coming back from my calf tear. My trainer went, well, you got 2K today and 3K tomorrow. I was so stoked to get to run 2K. And I remember I put it on Strava, and it took about like 6 minute Ks, but it's the best 12 minutes of my life. It was just nice to run 2K, and then 3K the next day, and then 4K, gradually build up. And it's like there's no pressure. It's like there's no pressure of pace, having to do it at a separate time. It's like the pressure's off. You're running. Like now, when I run, I'll always push myself a little bit, 5 minute Ks, like we discussed earlier. But when you come back from training, it's like starting again. It's like being a runner for the first time. It's all new. I've only got about 2K. I've got about 3K, 6 minute K pace. It's jogging.
Yeah.
I get to smell the roses, and then you build up slowly. So I actually enjoy coming back from injury, because it's like being a new runner again.
You get all those endorphins.
I'm not frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not frustrated that I can't run 10K in 45 minutes, or I can't run twice a day. I treat it as like, wow, this is what it's like to be a new runner. It's like, so I quite enjoy the starting again and then building up to the norm.
That's a great way to think of it. I don't think anyone's actually explained it like that. So it's kind of a mindfulness way to, because you're being in the moment, you're being very present with the experience of starting running again, and what you'd missed out on, and the joy of getting back to it. It's all of that sort of rolled in. It's lovely. Yeah.
Exactly. So no, I don't enjoy being injured, of course, but that was a tear. So tears are okay, but plantar fasciitis, that hurt because you're still running, but you can still feel the pain.
Yeah.
Whereas a PF, with PF, it just takes such a long time. You could probably maybe put a moon boot on for 3 months. That may help. But there's no guarantee of how long it's going to be. It treats each person differently.
Yeah.
So PF was hard. PF was really hard.
I won't get that then.
Me.
I'm not keen on that one.
Yeah, no, it ends runners' careers because they do get so depressed. They get so depressed. It can be 6 months to a year, even years. It can take years to get away sometimes. But a tears no dramas, and when you come back, it's nice. It's nice, like you start again, which is cool. Yeah, but PF, I just got my head down, lots of running on grass, which may or may not be the right thing.
Do you have a coach? Sorry, I didn't ask that before. Do you have a coach, or do you coach yourself?
No. I had a coach once, and my mate Raf from the running centre, and he was good, and I did what he told me to. I'm not uncoachable, but I didn't like the constraints. So maybe I am uncoachable. The thing of my running is I love, normally like today, like as we discussed,
It's a flexibility.
20 after we chat, I may do 20K today, or I may just go, I'll just do 10. I'll do a bit more later. I don't have to do a tempo or a threshold or 30 minutes, or 4 times 100 meters time, a 30-second rest. No. So when I was doing my marathon, I got better by running more and running home from work more and pushing myself harder.
Yeah.
So as my marathon times increased, I was doing an average of 50K a week, and I'd do a 60, 80, 90, run twice a day. And I got quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker just by doing more distance. I'm a big believer in just add distance and don't get injured, and you're going to improve. As I said before, running is an honest sport.
Yeah.
The more you do of it, the better you're going to get. And a bit like Maffetone, I'm a big Maffetone fan as well. It's just distance and then heart rate, then push yourself too hard all the time, and then race often. And that's what I was doing when I was at my peak. I would race often, and then I would do a lot of slow runs and smell the roses, but getting twice a day.
Yeah.
As a coach, same sort of result, but it was just too structured. I didn't like the idea of getting up and knowing I had to run 17K at 3:45.
Yeah.
Because it's like that.
You want to be
Didn't
more
work for
freedom.
me. The coaches are brilliant, they said, but me personally, I just didn't need them, and I wasn't prepared. Maybe I could have gone quicker. I could have maybe gone 5 minutes quicker with a coach, but it would have taken the love of running away.
Yeah.
And I would rather be a slow runner and still love it with passion now than would have been a 2:25 runner, but I don't run anymore. And I know a lot of people who are 2:25 runners who don't run anymore because they just, once they start slowing down,
a bit sad.
Really, the whole reason they ran was chasing times, rather than and they lost their love of running because it's all about the end goal. It's more about the journey than the end goal.
Sad.
No.
So, I think we touched on it before. How long do you think you'll run for in your life?
Well, it's a toughie. They said, I've got to start waxing that surfboard and get in the ocean.
You do.
I mean,
you can run and surf. I'm sorry. I just want to throw that in there.
I know. It's true. And I must admit, I always say, because I've been saying this for the last 5 years, I say it to my wife all the time, this is my last big year. This is my last, I'll just do 10 or 12 launches this year, and next year I promise I'll slow down. And of course, the next year comes, I'm like, well, there's a new race. Well, I've got to do Delirious. I always do Delirious. And then, it's tradition, I do Velvet Pig, and all these other races I do. So, yeah. And of course, then, once I get to 60, I'm in a whole new age category.
You are.
Maybe I can get some, maybe I can
competitive.
Start winning some age group races. So, and I still enjoy it, and I still enjoy Michelle. So, I don't know. I think I'm going to be one of those people who's always running. I don't ever see myself stopping. No. I would say I don't see myself stopping competing because that's the bit I enjoy most. And like with Delirious, at the moment I'm way ahead of the cutoff, but maybe in 5 years' time, that I'll be racing the cutoff. If that's the case, that's cool. It gives me something else to race. There's a group at the end. And again, all of a sudden, it's not a case of finishing at a good time or top 10. It's just a case of finishing, but that's cool because that's another challenge. I've challenged myself. Gene Dykes in the States. Gene's done Delirious. Gene Dykes is in his 70s. Again, you should get Gene on your show, and he's a bit like me. Actually, he's worse than me. He is worse than me, Gene Dykes. Gene will do probably 30 to 40 races a year.
Wow.
And he's in his 70s.
No way.
So, Gene Dykes, Google him. He's in his 70s and he's on Facebook, and he put up his itinerary for the year. Actually, I'm not even sure if there was a race every single bloody week. And these are ultras. So, Gene Dykes. And also, he sets world records in his 70s as well. And he came to Delirious first year, and he finished like an hour in front of the cutoff. But he would have been late 60s and 68, 69.
Wow.
But now he's in his 70s, and he's doing 40 plus races a year. So if I can be like that in the 70s, that'd be pretty damn incredible. I'll be stoked.
I love it. Yeah,
my
me
wife
too.
may not be so stoked, but you Google him and maybe chat with him, because he's like me on steroids in 20 years' time.
I love it. I will definitely look him up. That sounds amazing.
He does, and he'll talk to you. Love to. Incredible guy.
That's even better. I'll tell him that you sent me.
Actually, he's coming to Australia.
Is he?
He's coming to Australia in June. He's doing the Unreasonable East 200 miler in June in Cairns.
That'd be a good time to get him.
He'll be in Australia in June. Yeah. So he'll certainly have the time zone, and you can talk to him about the 200 miler he's about to do.
That's a great idea. What do you think running's given you that you wouldn't have had in your life had you not started running?
All my mates,
All your
all my
friends.
sad mates, all my friends, all my friends.
Yeah.
All my friends are runners and they're lovely guys. All of my mates before are nice guys as well.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
it's the whole social, it's a whole community. It's a whole
Yeah.
community of runners. So they're
A lot of
incredible
people say
people.
they start running for, lose weight, get fit or whatever, but they stay running because of the people they meet. So they keep
Yeah,
running
so
because of the
exactly.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we're all as mad as each other, especially in trail runners. Again and again, marathon running was different. I had marathon running mates who I needed to, who I wanted to be, of course, because it's a
Of course.
race. But trail running and ultra running, it's just about the incredible people you meet, and I get as much satisfaction, as I say, on Sunday afternoon at Delirious, and Sean will say the same thing. It's just the best place on the planet to be, because you do see some amazing people achieve incredible results, and then you're there, and the emotion, and everyone's together watching these people who are coming last. They're not winning. These are the ones who are coming last. But my God, they've earned it, and they get more kudos, a lot more kudos than the winners, a lot more kudos than the winners.
You certainly
Because they've
make
been
it
out there for longer.
very attractive. I remember my husband and I walking back from one of the marathons that we did, the city ones years ago, and seeing people coming in, and that's 6 hours, 6.5 hours, and we looked at them and we just went, my gosh, we'd finished in under 4 hours, whatever it was. But it was, you think they had a harder day than we have because they're just out there that much longer, and we're just like, wow, that's incredible.
As well as being an honest sport, it's also the most brutal sport because the fittest people finish early. Albeit, I remember I spoke to Steve Monaghan once because he came to Perth, and I was chatting to Steve, and I said, "Why are you so much quicker than me? Obviously you won the Olympics, and your times are 20 minutes, 30 minutes quicker than me. We look the same. We look like brothers. We're twins. Got pictures of him together, me and him together. We look exactly the same. Why are you 30 minutes quicker? I run 140K a week, or you do the same, and he says basically a professional runner can put themselves in the pain cave longer than you, and we can stand more pain. And it all comes to basically that's what it is. It's all down to that. We can start the pain more than you, and obviously a bit of talent.
But then you can extrapolate. Can't you extrapolate that though then to those people who are taking a lot longer? They're still in a pain cave. It might be a slightly, not as extreme, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah,
but for longer.
exactly.
Isn't that interesting? That's kind of
Marathon running to me is there's a tap, and you turn the tap on full, and that's paid coming out full, the tap's on full. Whereas an ultra, it's just an ultra.
Yeah.
The pain's there. It's not as much.
That's true. It's not intense.
You're not in fifth gear. You're not in fifth gear. You run an ultra first and second gear for 4 days. Versus a marathon runner, I'm in fifth gear for 3.5 hours. So you got that immense pain for shorter periods of time. Which is why now running's beautiful, but it's brutal. So the people at the back, can work the hardest, but they do it, and they're mentally stronger. And it's more mental at the back of the pack rather than physical. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Because they've got to be mentally strong to keep on going for 4 or 5 days. Whereas the people that fun, the show ponies can finish 50, 60 hours. It's just as painful for them, but they've trained for it and they're used to it, and they're physically stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So running is beautiful, but it's also brutal.
It is.
And honest.
You've said that a few times now, which I think is lovely, because I don't think I've heard that in a podcast after 300 odd episodes. So that's pretty good. Thank you.
Most honest sport in the world. There's no cheating running. You know yourself, Michelle.
Oh, yeah.
If you had to train for that 100K race, there's no way you would have gone, you know what? I didn't train for it and I aced it. It was easy, God. All this training is a waste of time, said nobody.
I quite like the training. I enjoy getting out there and hiding in my training. I kind of really enjoy that process of slowly building myself up. It's kind of a brick by brick.
That's all part of the whole process. Training, racing, recovery.
Yeah.
And training.
Is there anything, like before we wrap up, is there anything about running that you, I mean, I feel like you would recommend almost everyone do an ultra, especially a trail ultra, especially one that Sean Kessler puts on. But is there anything about running in general that you would like to share that we haven't kind of touched on as we've weaved around this conversation?
There's some people don't think running, it's true. A lot, and I sort of show a lot of people don't run. Me and you ain't normal, and we're getting more. Yeah, I'll probably say we're getting more and more unnormal, fortunately, for the kids today. Sorry, kids, but you spend too long on phones, looking at screens, and not getting out there. More time taking selfies than actually going out there and putting yourself in paint boxes like we do. So, so there's less and less people running, there's less and less people exercising. So the people that are doing it, like me and you, maybe we're the last generation. But my God, we're not going to go down without a fight. We are not going to go without a fight. You just got to go out there and enjoy it. And the first mile, the first kilometer, never trust your first kilometer.
No, it's horrible.
Always the hardest.
It's awful.
Even now. Yeah, even
I agree.
now. Yeah, and that puts a lot of people off. So anyone listens to this podcast and goes, well, I hate running because it's always crap. Yeah, it is for every 10K I do, a little ballpark trail mile, like you talked about earlier, 6 laps. The last lap is always my favorite. It's always the fastest. The first lap, when I get going, everything's stiff and you just wonder, why am I doing this? Maybe I'll stop at 5K. But by the time I get to 5K, and by the time I get to 10K, I think maybe I should do 15. So running, you just got to persevere. You just got to persevere. And it does change your life. Like Zatopek said, if you want to change your life, run a marathon. It will change your life.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to speak to God, run an ultra. And if you want God to talk to you, run a 200 miler. And that's something. But you've got to get out there and put your shoes on. And I suppose you got to start with, you got to do it with some mates. Get some friends, join a running club. So important. By yourself, 6 o'clock at night, when it's by yourself and it's raining outside, you ain't going out. You ain't going to go out. Netflix is there, nice cup of tea, bourbon biscuit. Why would you leave?
Yeah.
But if you've got a mate coming down at 6 o'clock, knocks on the door, come on with them, we're going to do our 5K mile. You'll go and do it. And you'll suffer together. And eventually you will improve. Everybody can run. It's what we do. We've got legs. But then it gets easier, and then it gets harder because you push yourself. When it gets too easy, you've got to start making it hard, like me and you do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can run 6-minute Ks or push my daughter to make her vomit. I can do that easy. But then it gets easier. Then you make it harder, and then you test yourself with either marathons with time or ultras with distance.
Yeah.
So I just get out and do it. It will change your life, and eventually everybody gets something out of it because it's so honest. Like I said, eventually you get something out of it. It's very rare someone actually says, I've been running for years and I still hate it. I've never heard that. Never heard anyone say, because nobody says give up. But anyway, eventually you will get something out of running.
Yeah,
definitely.
100%. I think every time you even finish, like even if you start feeling crap, the moment you stop running, you're glad you did it. Like very few people go, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, 5K, 10K, whatever it is.
They always I can probably count a number of times on one hand, the number of times I finished the run and went, you know what, wish I'd never done that. I mean, on one hand, less than 5 times. Yeah. Less than 5 times, whereas the first kilometer, I can probably remember the times at one hand where I said, oh, no, I've done this. It's the complete opposite. But honestly, less than five times. I've been running that 20 odd years.
Love it.
And thousands of runs. I must have 4,000 or 5,000 runs on Strava. That's been the last 10 years, 15 years. I honestly can say less than 5 times I've said that was a mistake. I should have stayed at home. I got nothing out of that run, nothing at all. Yeah. So so to me, if you listen to this, but most people listening to this are runners.
They are.
They are. So anything you're doing now, if you're chasing time with Because I've got my website. You go onto my website, Run BK Run,
Yeah.
push for that, and I've got posts going back from 2016.
So this has been
So
like your
I've got
journal,
all
hasn't
my
it? Sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. I wasn't
yeah,
aware
it
of
is a
that.
journal. Yeah, it's a journal. 2016 it started on BK Run. So if you just look on all those, it's got all my marathon adventures. So I was still running 240s in 16, 17. So you've got me as a show pony marathon running what I'm doing. And then you can see as it morphs into the ultra running, we've been talking about now, so 2016 to 24. So it's all there, with pictures and videos and tips
I love it.
about improving your running.
Yeah.
So have a look at the website, and if you want to get quicker in marathons or 5s or 10s, you can learn from many hundreds of thousands of posts on that. Or if you want to go to the ultra series and go to the dark side and have more fun and eat more and smile, then that's there as well. It's up to you.
I love it. If I know that beginners don't listen to it, but if a beginner listened to this podcast, what tips would you give them to get started? You probably touched on it a minute ago, but if someone just has never really run since they left school, what would you suggest that they did to get started?
First things first, go and get friends. Join a running club. Join a running club.
Mm.
Go and surround yourself with like-minded people. Because at the moment, if you just start, then I would say you probably ain't got any mates who are runners, or very few. If you've got mates who are runners, then go and talk to them. But if you haven't and you want to start, then you need to reach out and find like-minded people who can help you, as well as obviously the podcast. But that's virtual. Go and find someone who wants to run with you, a coach to help. But the first things first is go and buy a pair of shoes. Go to a local running shop
with carbon
get to fit your body. Yeah.
Well, you don't need the carbon ones to start with. Oh, the carbon shoes. Would you suggest people use those first, or you wait till they're a little bit more experienced?
Yeah, probably wait. Well, all joking aside, I've actually it's funny, because when I was a show pony, I'd always buy minimalist shoes. As light as possible. Then carbon plates come around. And now I actually actually run in Hoka X, because again, Hokas were the shoes that runners used to go to die but wear Hokas,
They're big cushy things.
If you put a pair of Hokas on, you were slow and old, and that was your running career over and done with. But I love the Hoka Max. The Hoka Max while running, and then the Mac X.
Yeah.
So I actually run in carbon plate shoes all the time now, because they protect my feet from PF. I find carbon plate shoes do protect your feet from PF.
Oh, that's interesting.
I will. Yeah, because the carbon plates, and they last longer. They're a bit more expensive, but they last a lot longer. The Hoka Mac X is a shoe I recommend. Yeah. Incredible shoe. And then I'd wear Ultras for trails, but the Mac X is an incredible shoe. Yeah. So, but we digress. So, get a good pair of shoes for new shoes, and oh no, you still there?
Yeah,
I'm here. I can hear you.
I moved on to a different screen. Yeah, the Hoka Mac X, and get some friends to run with. Yeah. And then once you've got friends, start setting some goals. The couch to 5K. That's fantastic. Couch to 5K. Yeah. Just do that. Yeah. Then you're at 5K, and then all of a sudden you can do a 10K, then a half, then a marathon, and then you come and see me, the 200 miler.
And you'll drag them through a.
I promise. Money back guarantee. Albeit Sean Kessler has to confirm the money back guarantee. I will drag you to the finish, and there'll be lots of eating, lots of drinking, lots of listening to Taylor Swift, and a little bit of running in between. 340 kilometers of running.
You make it sound like a fun run tour, really, a running and eating
it is.
Sightseeing tour.
All joking aside, that is ultra running. It's basically running between eating and drinking stations.
Right. Well, you're convincing me almost.
There's no almost about it. I'm sure you said earlier you'd signed up. That's what I heard. I think you did.
I need to stop recording things.
You can edit that bit out if I was you.
That's right. It's gone. All right,
Oh,
Kevin,
brilliant.
I have kept you for like 2 hours. Can you believe it? We even kind of joked about how we could keep going for 2 hours, and here we did. We did.
We've
We
only
could
just
probably.
started.
I know.
We
could
could
keep
talk.
going.
We could talk until it got dark. I told you.
I know. And here
We
I
could
am
do
in
an.
Tassie. It's getting dark.
It's always dark in Tassie. I bet it's
Shush.
raining.
Shush. No, it's not. It's beautiful sunshine. I'm sorry. It's gorgeous here. Look how parochial we can
Well,
be.
you shouldn't be inside. You should
I
have
know.
cancelled this and gone out for a run.
I've already done my run today. Look at me. I'm a morning runner.
Well done.
I like
Good
to tick it
girl.
off
Well
as well
done.
and then get on with other things I got to do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. It has been a delight.
No
I knew it was
dramas.
going to be
No
amazing to talk
dramas.
to you. Do not jump off, as I'll talk to you off the recording as well. But we won't go for another 2 hours, though, I promise. I just wanted to say again, a big thank you, because I know that you've inspired lots of people, not just me, to run even further.
We'll put a lot of people off now.
I don't think so. Not at all. Been amazing. So thank you.
All right. No, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on, Michelle. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to the FitMIND FitBODY podcast. I'd love to talk to you about your running journey. Send me a message on Facebook or on the website and let's do it. I also wanted to let you know that I've created an email list so you won't miss any podcast episodes. You'll find details in the show notes and on the FitMIND FitBODY website, along with a bunch of resources on mindful running. They'll help you to get and stay mentally and physically fit. And I'll see you there. Plus, I'll be back here in your podcast player a few times a week. Hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And before you go, I'd really appreciate it if you would leave a review. It'll help more people to find the podcast and get inspired to start running and ultimately to improve their life. See you soon.